What's going on, guys? So this is the family's old, I believe it's a 1947 Allis Chalmers B. It's a cool tractor. She sat for about 8 years and just got her going the other day. Put a new battery in, cleaned out the carb, cleaned out the air intake, which this has an oil bath, which that's pretty cool. Cleaned out the sediment bowl, and we did an oil change, checked the fluids. Everything seems to be pretty good. Yeah, so the reason it wouldn't start ended up being was because I had the plugs in the wrong order. So with a COOCKOO mag, number 1 cylinder, number 2 cylinder, number 4 cylinder, and then the number 3 cylinder. So the firing order should be 1, 2, 4, 3. I mean, the tractor starts up just fine. Having a little bit of an issue right now, and I'll take you out for a test drive in a minute here, but when the motor gets under load, like you're going up a hill or you're letting out the clutch kind of fast, she tends to misfire a little bit. So I'm thinking it could be a couple things. One, she might not be getting enough fuel, so we may need to make some adjustments on the carburetor. Number 2, which I'm suspecting, is spark plugs, which when I took the spark plugs out to inspect them, they were a little dirty, or well, they were pretty dirty, a bit fouled up, so I think that could be it. It also could be that the points are not set at the right gap in this magneto, which I cleaned the points when I had the magneto cap off the other day. I doubt I forget what it's called in there. It's like a capacitor in there. I don't think that could be the case because this tractor really hasn't run that much. And the components in there do look pretty new, so we're going to take it for a test drive. We're going to swap out the spark plugs and see what that does before we do anything else. Okay, so she's running, but she's running a little bit rough. Now, the spark plugs that are in here are Champion plugs, which I've been doing a lot of reading about the plugs that you want to put in these old tractors, and a lot of people don't like the Champion plugs. A lot of people recommend the Autolite 295, so that's what I'm trying now. You want to get a solid core spark plug. You don't want one with a resistor, which most modern spark plugs for your cars and stuff like that have resistors in there. And I think that has to do with radio frequencies or something like that. If you put a resistor in there, then it allows, reduces the radio frequency off, something like that, so it doesn't distort your radio. Or, I believe that's what I read. So I'll swap these out, and we'll see if we hear a difference if she's running stronger. Here's a look at the old Champion plugs, which they are crapped up pretty good. Here's a look at the Autolite 295 new plugs. Now, with the old Champion plugs, I've never really heard of the term fouled spark plug before, but from what I've read online, of course the way a spark plug works is the current comes down through the center of the spark plug, and then it arcs between these 2 points right here. And what can happen when you get a lot of crud in here, the spark, instead of jumping from this little metal tab right here, internally it'll jump from the center to the out wall, or the outer wall, therefore giving you a crummy spark. That's my understanding of what a fouled spark plug is. And just in general, when you have crud on them, they don't spark as nice. So I'm thinking this is going to make a pretty big difference. Alright, let's see if we hear a difference. Seems pretty smooth. So I believe the tractor is running a little bit better, but we're still having that general issue. Now, what I've been doing with this carburetor is I've been suspecting that the engine has been starved of fuel. So I've been turning the screw out, but I've actually been reading the service manual, the original service manual, and it says turning the screw inward will make it a richer mixture. Turning it out will make it a leaner mixture. So I've been doing the opposite of what I think needs to happen. So they said the normal setting is approximately 1.5 turns out. So I'm going to turn that screw in all the way, and then 1.5 turns out, and then we'll see how that sounds. Okay, so that's in all the way. There's a half. There's one. There's another half. So what I've concluded is making adjustments on this screw, which this is the fuel mixture screw for the carburetor, is not really making a difference. So what I suspect now is could be a timing issue, which I really don't know much about. Gonna have to study those shop manuals there. Another thing that I want to try before I look into the timing too much, it could possibly be a fuel issue. What interests me is if you look in this fuel sediment bowl, give this a flick. I don't know if you can see or not, but there's actually some air in the top of there. And that's interesting to me. I'm not completely sure why that air has escaped. Yeah, but that's interesting to me. Now, in this fuel tank, I know you guys aren't going to be too happy, but there is some rust in here. No doubt about it, there's some rust in there. So what I think also may be happening is some of that rust may have gotten loose and it may be stuck in this valve area here. So maybe enough fuel isn't getting through this sediment bowl. So I think it would be smart to check that and see what we find in there. Here's the gas I just drained out of here, and we were definitely having a flow problem from the tank. So after I took the sediment bowl off, fuel was kind of trickling out. So I took the tip of the screwdriver, shoved it up in there, and then it started flowing at probably double or triple the rate. So I'm going to grab a piece of wire, run some fuel through here again, and see if I can knock out any possible other obstructions. And then this fuel sediment bowl, there's a good bit of corrosion on the top there. I'm going to take this screen off. Maybe I'll do this on camera, see if we can find anything in here. So there's the screen. And really you can't see too much in here. I think the only way to really see what's going on inside in here is if I take this valve off, and then we'll take a peek through there. So looking inside this sediment bowl, I don't know if you can tell on camera there, but there's something at the end there. I'm not sure if that's just, you know, something that's supposed to be on this valve right here, but it's definitely not doing any good where it is, so I gotta get that out of there. So that's the little piece that came out of there, which it looks like it's too small to go on the end of this valve anywhere, so not really sure where that came in. So this is the reducer fitting that goes in between the fuel tank and the sediment bowl. Have a look inside. It's almost completely obstructed. Can you believe that? What the hell? Yeah. Yeah, that may be causing some of the issue there. Kind of thinking about what this is and where it was. I'm thinking maybe this was like an early form of a fuel filter. Maybe this sat in here like that and got threaded on. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because I'm seeing some thread marks on the lip right here, but you know, causing a problem right now. So that could be part of the problem, hopefully, fuel restriction. I gotta get this on camera, otherwise you guys won't believe me, but this is up in the fuel tank. Light it Look at this. I don't know if this fuel tank was lined at one point, but that's kind of what it looks like. Now these pieces just, I don't know, they're like obstructing the hole. I don't know, does that look like a piece of fuel tank lining? No idea. Yeah, no idea. Definitely part of the issue though, I guarantee that. So I have everything plumbed back up. This connection was just a little bit loose, so I'm going to go put some fuel in here and test this out, and if I'm still having a problem, I am going to redo that connection, and then we'll probably move on to the points, but for now I'm going to put some fresh fuel in here, and we'll go from there. Really hoping that this was the problem. By the way, the Teflon tape that I use, this stuff is incredible. It's called Blue Monster. It's a little bit more expensive than the white stuff, but more comes on a roll. I have 14,029 inches. I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in this stuff. Much better than that white stuff. So the verdict, an improvement, but still getting that issue. So I'm going to come over here, pop off the magneto cover next, and we'll take a closer look at the points and see if we can set the gap better.